Hey guys, I'm your host, Rachel Cruz, and you're watching Dave Ramsey's Greatest Hits, where we're looking back at the best moments from the last 10 years of The Ramsey Show on video. For this episode, that includes some conversations we still think about to this day. And I'm talking about heated debates, massive debt, and a situation that even freaked Dave out. So let's get to it.
Violet is with us in Kansas City. Hi, Violet. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Hey, so I am just recently engaged, and my fiance, he actually lives in Dominican Republic, so he doesn't have a lot of money. It's like a third world country. I am $42,000 in debt, and I want to get married to him, but I'm just nervous because I know I'm on like step number 2 of paying off my debt, doing the debt snowball, and I'm just wondering if it's a good idea to get married knowing that I will have student loans left to pay.
I don't mind folks getting married in debt at all or having babies while they're in debt at all. None of that is a problem for me. The only problem is if you're not on the same page that we're going to kill the debt.
Right.
And we're going to both work like maniacs to cause that to happen. So has he got a job?
He did have a job as a mechanic, and then for some reason now he doesn't have it anymore.
Some reason? That sounds kind of vague.
Yeah. I mean, his explanation was that their management got hired on new people, so now he doesn't have the job. So that was his explanation.
Okay. And how long have you all been dating?
We've been together for 9 months.
And how old are you?
I'm 23.
And he is how old?
He's 22.
And he's from the Dominican Republic?
He lives there. Mm-hmm.
He lives there?
Yes. We have a long-distance relationship.
Where would you live were you married?
So once we're married, we'll have the process of him coming here.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was an auto mechanic in the Dominican Republic.
He's a mechanic on whatever. Like, I'm not sure of like what he specifically did. So there's like the language. I'm learning Spanish. I'm intermediate to fluency, and he doesn't know any English. I know this sounds weird, but my understanding was that he is just basically a mechanic. I've seen pictures of him going to work and all that stuff. I'm not sure what he specifically worked on.
Mm-hmm. How many times have you met him in person?
About 4 times.
Okay.
I go back and forth and travel over there.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, here's some things. I don't mind you getting married. I don't mind him coming here, and he's going to get a job, and you guys work together and make a lot of money and pay off the debt and live happily ever after. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's one option. I am obligated, because of this show, to tell people what I would do if I were in your shoes. I have a 30-year-old daughter and a 34-year-old daughter and a 27-year-old son. So I've got kids older than you, okay?
Yes.
That are all married. And I've been in the Papa Dave chair, we call it, quite a bit over the years. And so I'm going to change hats from financial guru to Papa Dave and tell you a couple things that I would tell you if you were my daughter, okay?
Okay.
Number one, it has been known to happen that folks who want to come to this country will do anything to get to come here, and anything includes talking someone and conning someone into marrying them. So I'm not saying that's happening, but that flag went up in my head hearing this story. So I want you to just be careful, be wise, and be very aware. Do not be a naive person who gets taken advantage of, and you call me back later with a disaster, please. I don't want pain to come to your life, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you watch for that. Number 2, sometimes people from other cultures will work rings around Americans. Their work ethic is 10x of the typical American. Sometimes from people with other culture are hound dog in the sun, lazy on the front porch, don't work much people. Mm-hmm. I'm not hearing things I like in your description of his job and his job loss. I've seen pictures of him going to work. Statements like that scare the crap out of me as Papa Dave for my young daughter I'm talking to, okay?
Yes.
Like, I want some as your surrogate dad here for just a second, I'm not, but I'm just speaking like that, okay? But I want some proof that this young man is a diligent, hardworking young man, and that he didn't lose his job because he was smoking so much reefer he couldn't crawl to work.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to know that before he marries you, because I want you to have a good life. So I want you to know that you know that you know that he's marrying you for you, not for an option at citizenship. I want you to know that you know that you know that this young man is a diligent, hardworking young man who's going to serve and love his wife well by working his fanny off once he gets here, and that he has a track record of doing that, not just promises. And you have a language barrier and a culture barrier to figure all this out in. This whole process is fraught with danger. It can work, and it might be okay, and I might be just being paranoid. I do have the gift of cynicism, but but I'm just, this is what I heard in a short conversation, and so did 16 million people listening to this conversation. They're all going, because I wasn't the only one that got scared when you started talking about this. So you got a language barrier, a culture barrier, and a couple of con situations that you need to make sure are not cons before you go forward. If this is a stellar young man and he is all that he claims to be, and he comes here and works his tail off for the good of his family and his wife, you will be just fine. I am not worried about your debt at all. You will work your way through that. I hope you didn't take that wrong, because I did take my muddy boots and walk all through your house there. But that's just what I do, just because I care about you and I want you to win. And I don't want to just drive by this and act like I didn't hear those things, because I heard them. So you be good, and I hope this works out. Please be wise, wise, wise. And wisdom is different than intellect. Please get somebody else in your life to walk with you that looks in on this from the outside, that loves you and that has wisdom. Whether it's a dad, a mom, a sister, a brother, an uncle, a pastor, I don't care. Have somebody look over your shoulder and make sure that you don't have stars, lovey-dovey stars in your eyes and you're blind. Do that for yourself as a gift to yourself. That's what I would tell you if you were my own daughter. I hope that helps you. Well, the Dave Ramsey Show's changed a little over the years. I just used to answer questions from my friends. Now they're all my kids. Okay. That's what happens when you get old and you keep doing a show for 30 years. You guys all used to be my peers. Now with YouTube, they're all 22. Oh, my God. Oh, well, that's what we do here. Hey, I'm going to answer the questions here. If you don't want that kind of advice, if you don't want me to tell you what I think, if I were you, what would I do in your shoes? Don't call, because I'm obligated once you asked. Russ is with us in Salem, Massachusetts. Hey, Russ, welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hello, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. How are you?
I am good. Dave, I posted some things on your website in regard to insurance philosophies you put online. And having been an insurance broker for about 35 years, there are a few misstatements that are on there that I'd like to use the air as a chance to maybe either clarify with you or maybe get some clarity from you on. May I do that?
Sure.
Okay. Number one, you have said on your website that term insurance is the best and the only kind of product people should buy in all instances when they need life insurance. And what I can tell you is that we do not recommend whole life insurance across the boards. We recommend life insurance situationally. There's no two needs, no two situations that are pervasively similar. Okay? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Yeah.
Okay. Number two, the cash value that you've talked about is
Wait a minute, did you want me to address that one first?
It's up to you.
Okay.
If you'd like to, I'll be happy to do it one at a time.
Well, you're an insurance agent, obviously, and I disagree when you say there are no two instances that are the same. There are basic principles of mathematics and basic principles of personal finance that are always the same. For instance, I would tell you there is never a time that you would use a credit card.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say that you can't convince me that there's certain times you should use a credit card. They suck. They're a bad product. They don't work. And I think the same thing's true of whole life.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's take it a little bit further. Number two, there seems to be some question about the cash value of a life insurance policy as being a bad investment. And I won't get into the issue of performance, but I think the big thing that you need to realize is this. The cash value is not there because insurance companies are creating a standard of return or investment that is deemed to be poor or is deemed to be immovable. The cash value
then why would you do it?
Policy is there. It's a function of law. It involves.
So why would you put extra money into a policy to create cash value if the cash value has no standard of excellence at all on the rate of return?
Well, you didn't let me finish. Those policies historically get better as they get older. Okay, the cash value of a life insurance policy is a function of state law. It's a function of statutory reserves.
Sure.
And also from an actuarial standpoint, it's used to keep premiums level indefinitely. Why do you think term insurance is so cheap? Because term insurance does not have or maintain a legal reserve affixed to it.
Well, sure it does. They have to have cash reserves to support. Otherwise, the state won't license the term insurance company. Now, it's a 20-year level term. 20-year level term insurance is about 1/5 or about 1/20th the cost, about 5% the cost of the same amount of whole life is.
You're right, but from an actuarial point of view, whole life is considered to be a product priced indefinitely that does not have.
Yeah, but it never stays in place indefinitely.
That depends upon the person, and that depends upon the situation.
All the research shows that they cash them out like crazy.
Not everybody.
Yeah,
I can tell.
The vast majority do. But let's just pretend you kept it for your whole life. Why the flip did you need it for your whole life?
How about some things called estate taxes? There are people who do, when they die, see their family incur a substantial financial loss.
And so in order to cover estate taxes, I need to get ripped off for 60 years in a horrible financial product. That's your theory.
Well, let me just say this. If you talk about the difference of investment, why don't you talk about the difference in, for example, in attorney's fees? There are attorneys who charge $300 an hour versus $700 an hour. You don't tell somebody to invest the difference in legal fees to see if they come out ahead, do you?
Of course I would, if the actual if the actual legal advice was exactly the same.
Well,
if you die, you get paid with term insurance. Your beneficiary gets paid. Pretty simple formula. If you die with whole life insurance, your beneficiary gets paid only the face amount after you've paid 20 times more for the policy.
I can refute that very easily.
Well, you can't.
If a policy is arranged properly, a person can receive not just the face amount of the policy, but in addition, they can receive the value of the cash account.
No, they can't. Not unless not unless it's an AB universal, in which case you paid more for it to start with.
No, you do not. That is not true.
Are you talking about paid up additions?
Pardon me?
Are you talking about paid up additions?
No, I'm not talking about paid up additions. Did you ever have something called the fifth dividend option?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What is it?
Well, absolutely. The bottom line is, at the end of the day, the people don't get the cash value. You pay 20 times more, and the cash value is not added on. Now, I mean, you can look at every major whole life company that's out there, and you tell me they get their cash values. They don't get them. Russ, it's a piece of crap.
Are you talking about the beneficiary?
Listen, here's the situation, dude. I can talk to you for the rest of my life, and I'm not going to talk you into not selling whole life.
I'm not even talking about whole life of term. I sell a lot of term, bundles of it.
But you still sell the other crap, too, and you're offended because I said it's crap.
Now, let me ask you another question. Yeah, by the way, for your information, just I'm not arguing with you, but the cash value, the amount of the value on top of the face of the policy can be paid to the beneficiary if the policy is written appropriately.
And none of them are written that way.
Well, I've written them that way for 35 years.
No, it just doesn't happen, dude. You and I know that is not how the industry is set up.
Well, believe me, it is. The other thing is, you said that, you talk about whole life as being such a horrible product. And again, maybe in your mind it is, but can I ask you this question? Mm-hmm. Why is that particular product that you think is so deplorable, bought by many publicly held companies and privately held companies to fund buyouts of corporate stock? And
there's a lot of buy-sell agreements that use whole life, and you know why? Because people like you sell that crap to them.
No,
that's exactly why they do it.
Do you know how much?
A simple partnership buy-sell agreement can be funded with term life insurance for 1/20th of the cost.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you know how many publicly held Fortune 500 companies use whole life and the millions of dollars the boards of directors authorize for that
And it's
stuff
really
to fund
sad that
executive
they're all
benefits?
getting screwed at that level.
Well,
It really is,
these are people
'cause
with
it's
degrees from
garbage, Russ.
From very prestigious business schools. I think they know a little bit more than a layperson.
Well, they may or they may not. But the bottom line is that at the end of the day, dude, it is the payday lender of the middle class. It's a horrid product. When you pay 20 times more for the same amount of coverage to build up a cash value that you never receive, because when you die, they pay the face amount. James is in Lexington, Kentucky. Hi, James. How are you?
I'm pretty good today, Dave. How about yourself?
Better than I deserve. How can I help?
Well, got myself in quite a mess right now, and I'm not really sure where to start to get out.
Okay.
To start with, I have currently about $430,000 in student loans.
Good Lord.
Yes, I was in medical school. I had failed 2 sets of boards after 3 years, and then was recently dismissed. And so about 80,000 is from undergrad, and then other courses later on to get into medical school, and the remainder is from medical school. Right now, I have the debt, but no degree that I was planning to use to actually be able to pay that back. So at this point, I don't really know what my options are to try to dig out of this.
You're right. That's a mess. I'm so sorry. That's scary.
It is.
Yeah. How did you get that far into it and then not be able to pass the boards?
I actually did fairly well during the first 2 years, but it was just, I think, being able to, I guess it was one thing to take an exam every few weeks or every month, but being able to retain that and then to recall it to the level of detail that I needed for the exams. I just couldn't put it all together at the end.
Is there any way you can re-engage and still have a shot at finishing?
Not without having to reapply and then go through the process all the way again. And also have to take out more loans.
So
Yeah.
what are your when did you flunk the last one?
That was this past spring, and so I was let go this summer.
Okay. So what since then? What has been your plan?
Well, I've basically just been getting by. I was able to find a job, first of all, as a substitute teacher, and I was hired as a high school biology teacher. But my loans are on deferment right now, and I have some forbearance to go. But at this point, I'm not sure any of the other career options. I've thought about, physician assistant, other programs like that, but it requires going into more debt. Because I'm not in a position where I could work and then pay as I go. Plus pay off the current, the loans I've got now too.
Yeah. So what would it take to be a PA from where you are?
I would have to take about another year of classes. I would have to take some other entrance classes, and then 2.5 years for the program itself.
Wow.
And then and that's probably at least another $60,000 to $70,000 in tuition and living expenses.
What about nursing?
It's my undergraduate degree was in biology, and then did pre-med.
And so none of the med school work you've done applies to anything else.
No, none of it. I have the debt, but none of the courses, none of it actually I can transfer to anything.
Wow. Well, the only thing I know to tell you is to try to assess some kind of a career, and that's what I'm poking at here. I don't know enough about that world to try to help you, but we obviously need to get to the point that we're making some good money to begin to pay this through, right? And so I want to lead you towards something that's 6 figures to try to plow through this with, and or get on maybe with some kind of a hospital type of a company that would do some student loan pay for you as part of your signing bonus, that kind of a thing. Obviously, you're not going to be doing that as an MD, but the PA idea is a good idea, something around the biology or medical field, but I want to move you well beyond high school biology teacher to pay off $430,000 in debt, right?
Exactly. And the other issue, I mean, right now, I'm 34 years old, and so I have all this debt and I have an emergency fund, but no retirement savings, nothing at all. So I don't know.
Well, I'm not worried about that until we address your income. Okay. We got to address your career track, which gets you to your income, which solves the debt problem and then solves the retirement problem. I'm not in a panic about that today. I mean, if you were 66, I might be, but you're not. You got time to work through that. You've just got to reset here. Natalie is with us in New York. Hi, Natalie. How are you?
Hi, how are you, Dave? Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure. What's up in your world?
So I am recently married, just a few months, and we are talking a lot about our finances. I paid off my student debt a little while ago, and now we have his to work on. And it's $300,000.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God! Is he a doctor or a lawyer?
He's a doctor.
Okay. So what is your household income now?
Well, it's about $230,000.
Good. So you're going to live on nothing and pay that off real fast, right?
Well, yes, but he's finishing residency, so my income is $150 and his is about like $70 as a resident. So we're looking at job opportunities in two different areas, and they offer one pays about $500,000 more.
One job is $500,000 more?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's in an unideal location, which we would not stay in long term. So we're just wondering if it's worth it to take, a job that pays that much more just to get out of debt quicker and kind of postpone.
Okay, so job number one pays what, and job number two pays what?
About $850 versus $350.
Okay, and you make $150. Would you make $150 at either one of those locations?
Maybe a little less. Maybe $100. Let's say.
Okay, so that's kind of either place you'd make about $100. So you'd leave New York City.
Yes.
In either case, and so what is the less than ideal location that's $500,000 more? That's
it's kind of in the tundra. It's up north near Canada.
In Canada? No,
near Canada. It's
okay,
still in
but it's
the
in
US.
the United States.
Yeah, so he's a surgeon. So once he completes training, they offer some of these jobs in underserved areas.
Yeah.
For a lot more money.
Yeah, I never heard of $500,000 more, but I knew underserved would overpay. I knew that, but are they asking for a length of time commitment?
Yeah, they asked for 3 years.
Okay, and you would be willing to do the 3 years?
I'm not sure. So I want to know your thoughts.
Well, you already live in New York City. It's not like you live in the South. I mean, you're used to cold weather.
Yeah, but it's just kind of a whole lot of nothingness.
Okay, all right. So there's just not So you're moving to a very rural,
middle of nowhere,
a very rural location versus New York City. So that's a big culture shock. I got you.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, I don't know. You got to ask yourself that question. You're going to be making $450,000 in a worst case scenario, right?
Exactly.
And so, my God, I mean, if you can't pay off $300,000 in the first year, somebody ought to smack both of you. If you can't live on
have a lot of stuff.
If you can't live on $150,000, somebody ought to smack you. Really? Don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we haven't bought a house yet. We haven't.
I know you don't need to buy a house. You have $300,000 in student loan debt you need to clean up. So, I mean, if you go make $450,000, I think you're going to work this out. You could be debt free in 1 year, and the next year you buy a house, and the next year, you do some other stuff. I mean, just have a little bit of patience with that kind of shovel. You ought to be able to move anything you want to around. The other way, you come out $1.5 million ahead, $500,000 times 3 for 3 years. But you're in the tundra. You could buy a whole lot of airline tickets out of the tundra and come visit go visit New York City every weekend and come out ahead.
Yeah, because we're a little older, so we were worried about, not having any retirement savings, not having anything yet.
You'll be okay.
So,
You're going to be making $500,000 a year. As long as you don't go spending and do stupid doctor tricks with the money and, go another $400,000 in debt to do something else. But if you guys will just stay debt-free, you're going to have tons of money to invest. You're going to be fine. You start banking $200,000 a year. You know how quick you have $1 million? It's like 4 years. You're okay. You're going to be all right. As long as you don't keep, jack your lifestyle way up. So the only thing I would take the $450,000 cheaper job if you're committed to getting out of debt in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, you need to go do the other one.
I think we could do it in 1 year, maybe two.
I think you can do it in one. I really do. I mean, or not plus or minus taxes. Taxes might push you into two. But I don't want you to jack your lifestyle up or start doing a bunch of other stuff till you get this debt cleaned up. No, job one's get the debt gone. Before you do anything else, don't talk to me about buying a house, buying a car. Don't buy anything. You're broke and in debt. Mm-hmm. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Clean that mess up, and then you're free to live the rest of your life and do whatever you want. Now, the only thing that, if Sharon and I were looking at this, my wife and I were looking at this situation, we would consider the Tundra opportunity, but we would put in there a couple $100,000 or $100,000 out of that $500 in travel, and we would just bug out of there virtually every weekend.
Yeah, well, as a surgeon, that's not as easy, I guess. He's going to have a lot of call and everything.
But he's not on 7 days a week.
No.
Okay. So, I mean, just jump on the plane and go. I mean, even if you charter a plane out of there, you can go, you can have a life is my point, and you don't have to define your life as like you're living on the moon and you can't come home.
Yeah.
You can jump on a plane and be anywhere in some period of hours, and just, enjoy some downtime, head down to the Caribbean, head down to Cabo for the weekend. I don't care. Mm-hmm. You can do a lot of that kind of stuff on $500,000 and still come out ahead if you wanted to play that. That's how we would play it. Because I'm like you.
Put away a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty relaxed nowadays, but if I were your age and I was concerned about, New York type of activities, then that's a way to do it, is to budget it and still say, okay, we're going to spend $50,000 on travel a year or $75,000 on travel a year. And that's our way of dealing with the fact that we're in the Tundra and we're making all this extra money for at least 3 years. Mm-hmm. And if you wanted to do that, that's a way to make it palatable. I'm not sure I would. I think if you're making $450, you ought to be okay. And you'll probably make not $450 for all 3 years. You'll probably make $450 the first year. Your income will probably go up. His income will probably go up the second year. So you probably back up over $500,000 easy between the two of you then. So, but kiddo, whatever you do, get rid of this debt before you do anything else. Do not go buy a house until this debt's gone. Do not go buy a car until this debt's gone. You hear me loud and clear on that. I'm going to call you stupid if you do. Straight to your face. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Well, on every one of my social media feeds for the last 5 days or 4 days since this article hit, people have been exploding. Their brains are frying out of their heads over this article in the Wall Street Journal. Mike Maru has $1 million in student loans. How did this happen? Mike Maru, a 37-year-old orthodontist, made a big investment in his education, and as of Thursday, he owed $1,060,945 in student loans. Mr. Maru pays only $1,589 a month, not enough to even cover the interest, so his debt 7 years at the University of Southern California grows by $130 a day. In 2 decades, his loan balance will be $2 million. He and his wife, Melissa, have become numb to the burden, focused instead on raising their 2 daughters. If you thought about it every single day, Ms. Maru said, you'd have a mental breakdown. Due to escalating tuition and easy credit, the U.S. now has 101 people who owe at least $1 million in federal student loan debt. 5 years ago, it was 14 people. While the typical student borrower owes $17,000, that's not true, it's $37,000, the number of those who owe at least $100,000 has risen to $2.5 million. The government essentially allows graduate students to borrow any amount to cover tuition and living costs, with few guardrails on how the final sum will be repaid. These are choices. We are not coercing, says the dean of USC's Herman Ostrow School of Dentistry, where Mr. Moreau went to school, which is one of the most expensive dental schools in the U.S. You know exactly what you're getting into, says the dean. Dental school is the costliest of higher education programs in the U.S., an average of $71,820 a year. The USC program now costs $91,000 a year and $137,000 when living expenses are included. Halfway through dental school, he said he started to worry about the soaring costs of his education. Why did it take halfway? You're in the most expensive dental school in the U.S. I'm sitting here saying, holy crap, should I really be doing this? Mr. Moreau called. Should I drop out? Miss Moreau, 35, said her husband and her decided it was too late to turn back. If he quit or transferred to a cheaper school, he still owed for the loans he already had. Yeah, so the cheaper school would keep you from doing what? The USC education helped Mr. Moreau earn $225,000 last year. No, being a dentist helped him earn $225,000 last year, working for a corporate practice in Draper, Utah, outside Salt Lake City. That compares with $158,000 median income for dentists. Some dental school educators fear that the eye-popping... Oh, let me help you all with that for a second. That's a misnomer. Let me stop just for a second. The median income for dentists is $158,000, but not for orthodontists, and he's an orthodontist. So let's learn the difference here. It's $225,000. He's not making extra money because he went to USC. Where he went to school did not increase his income. He went to the most expensive school and he makes an average income. Note to those of you who want to go to an expensive school because you say it's going to cause you to make more money. It doesn't. Anyway, moving on. Some dental school educators fear that the eye-popping cost to enter the profession could dissuade good prospects from even trying. Ya think? Dental School's financial aid director estimated that the basic four-year program would require $400,000 to $500,000 in student loan debt. Mr. Moreau and his wife concluded dental school is a good investment. We're like, well, we can make this work. Yeah, made sense to me. They took it out on a lower interest rate. Long story short, the interest rate went up. They got themselves in trouble. A law passed in Congress in 2001 severed the link that tethered student loan interest rates to Treasury rates, and the rates went up, causing him to get into a bigger mess. The one luxury I'm skipping along was buying a used Mercedes-Benz, which carries a payment of $390. The couple then bought a home using a $400,000 mortgage Miss Moreau took out in her name. She used an inheritance from her grandfather for the down payment, and her mother co-signed for the loan because she's married to a broke dentist. Mr. Moreau then entered into a government-sponsored repayment program on the loan, where after 10 years his loan will be forgiven. But when you add up everything he's paid in, he will have paid back $1 million even by then. And then you and I will eat the other $1 million roughly. Since refinancing his debt with the federal government in 2015, Mr. Moreau's balance has grown by $150,000. It will keep growing through the 25-year life of the repayment plan until it reaches $2 million. The sum will be forgiven, and at current tax rates will cost him another $700,000 in income tax for forgiveness of debt. The government repayment plan affords the Moreau family a comfortable life. Their home is on a mountain with panoramic views of the snow-capped peaks surrounding Salt Lake City. They take vacations, including a recent trip to Havana, and they drive a used Tesla. Yeah, it does make your head explode. Extreme things like this always do make the news. And obviously this is an extreme thing, but what it does point out is a whole bunch of things. One thing it points out is that you and I are stupid, America. We're stupid because we elected a Congress that allows a student loan program like that to be in place because you and I are getting ready to pay this guy's bill. These are federally insured student loans. The taxpayer insures the student loans. No one else gives unlimited lines of credit to 18-year-olds on unsecured debt except you and me. No banker in his right mind would give this, and bankers loan money like hot potatoes. They'll loan money to a dog that's dead, and they won't loan money to you. But no, you and me, we're so bright. We think that students, college education is so important. And the whole economy would collapse, and America would be a bunch of illiterates if we don't step up and if we don't step up and insure these student loans. So I'm telling you, you need to call your congressman based on this article right here, which wakes you up, and say the federally insured student loan thing needs to stop. You want to stop colleges from overcharging? It's real simple. When nobody goes there because they're too freaking expensive, their rates will drop. But when they have an unlimited supply of money from the government insured by stupid people like you and me and signed up for stupid people like this guy who didn't even add up what his costs were going to be until he was halfway through, this is a whole group of stupid people in a pile. Stupid colleges overcharging, stupid taxpayers that are willing to sign on for this guy, because you and I are going to pay this. Your tax money is paying this guy's bill. Because we're stupid. Because only stupid people loan people like this money. So we're stupid. We guaranteed this loan. It's a federally insured student loan. The student loan program is a freaking disaster. Mike Maru's life is a disaster. So, Mike, you're in Salt Lake City, my man. You're in a hurt. You're in a world of hurt. You've become the laughing stock of America after this article. I'm so sorry. People are probably writing him hate mail like crazy. I'm not going to write you hate mail. I'm not going to pile on. I've done dumb things too.
Okay, you guys, if you had fun with this episode, there's more where that came from. Because up next on Dave Ramsey's Greatest Hits, we've got even more Dave rants. So make sure to check it out and share this video with a friend who you think would enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.